Let's praise God. We're gonna do just like you do. Go ahead.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. And thank you for tuning in tonight. Let me get this shared and we can get on and do what we got to do. We can do what we got to do. Oh, wait, I don't see it. I don't see it.
I'm looking for it myself.
Hold on. I got it. There we go. There we go. All right. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Self-Checkout Show. I am your host, Pastor Will, and we are glad to have you guys on tonight with us. We're going to have a good time just sharing right now. Let's get this done. We are glad. Let's get this done really quickly. I should have had this done and ready, y'all. I apologize. All right, but there we go. Hey, we're glad to have everybody on tonight. Thank you for joining us here on the Self-Checkout Show. Again, I'm Pastor Will. Glad to see you guys. As you come in, as we always do, please let us know that you are here. Drop a comment and share. Tonight's subject is You Are Not My Mother. Hey, speaking of mother, my mama is on already. Hey, mama, glad to have you. Thank you for joining us tonight. This month, we are talking about boundaries and why they are necessary for healthy relationships. And tonight's topic, You Are Not My Mother. Well, it's normal in childhood for siblings to fight and push each other's buttons, even to test some boundaries. But once brothers and sisters cross the threshold of adulthood, crossing boundaries can have a greater consequence. Some siblings may repeatedly ask for their brothers or sisters' money. They may request too much time and attention from them, or they may just simply invade their privacy. If your sibling is consistently behaving in a way that makes you uncomfortable, it's important to express that discomfort and set clear boundaries for yourself in order to grow and maintain a healthy adult relationship. So we're glad tonight to have you guys. Hello. Good evening, Mimi. Hey, Lisa. Lisa is on also. Lisa will be with us in 2 weeks from tonight. We're excited about that. Good evening, everybody. Please, if you're on Facebook, throw up some hearts. If you're on Periscope, do the same thing. If you're on Twitter, just like it if you don't mind, and retweet. And those of you that are on YouTube live with us now also, thank you. Press the subscribe button if you're watching this page. We need more subscriptions from you guys. And also those of you that will watch the replay, we want you to know that we value you as well. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to watch the self-checkout show. Guys, we're going to have a good time tonight. I got my boys. It's always good to have family on with me. And this is going to be fun, and probably some more fun. Everybody knows these two guys that you're looking at right now. That's right. I got Pastor Troy Thomas and Prophet Antoine Thomas. I don't know if the pastor or the prophet is allowed in the room tonight, but Troy and Antoine are welcome for sure tonight. But we'll see how it goes before we get off of here in an hour. Evening, fellas. Pastor Troy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about you, Pastor Willie?
I'm doing good. Glad to have you back on. We were laughing before we came on air. This is about your 4th or 5th appearance on a WTM event, and the people love you. I love you. Thank you so much for coming back and joining us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the invite.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, his brother is my brother, not by blood, but we all brothers. It's the one and only Prophet Antoine Thomas is in the room and on the self-checkout show. Twan, how you doing, man? Is he frozen? Yep, he's frozen. All right. So I thought I was talking to him live, but he's stuck like Chuck.
He's stuck.
Antoine might have to go back out and come back in.
There you go.
Oh, I see you now. All right. We got movement. Unmute yourself. Now he was fine before we went on. All right, there we go. Hey, brother, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back on a different device. Yeah, I'm gonna come back on a different device.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. See, Sheridan already said she know y'all about to act a fool.
I think my phone was giving me a better.
Hey, Sheridan, how you doing?
Ain't nobody paying Sheridan Davis, assistant pastor Sheridan Davis, no tension.
Oh man. Hey, Sheridan. Hey, Danielle, one of my biggest supporters. Thank you for tuning in. When she saw it, she said, "Oh, I know this about to be good." She said she's going to get her some stuffed strawberries and some water. I said, "All right, that's fine." That's all right. John Stennis. Hey, John. John says the infamous Thomas brothers. In fact, that's what they are for sure.
I don't know if that's good or bad come from John. Now. I'm not sure about that.
All right. Sheridan said Prophet got that Teddy Riley. You know what? That was a mess. That Teddy Riley and that versus, that was horrible. I ain't never seen nothing like it. Yep, I'm telling all your business, Danielle. Man, I'm so glad to have you guys on tonight. We're going to have a good time tonight. We already having a good time, but I want you that are watching to share this broadcast because everybody needs to listen to this. Everybody, mostly all of us, have a biological brother or sister. Some we have that are such good friends that we call them brother or sister and that we treat each other like the such. But you need to know that not every brother and sister sibling relationship is healthy. And we're going to talk about that tonight. But before we do, everybody's talking about a lot of stuff that's going on, a lot of stuff that hit the news yesterday, today. But right now, I want to talk about some news that actually matters. The Golden Globes are done. Done. Well, at least they're done for the upcoming year. According to CBS News, NBC dropped the Golden Globe Awards. They will not televise it in 2022 over a series of controversies involving the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. This news comes after LA Times investigation revealed a lack of transparency in the HFPA's awarding system, alleged financial impropriety, and a lack of diversity in its membership. So, in other words, of the 90 or so individuals that help determine who wins these globes, none of them are of African American descent. Now, that being said, some of the celebrities and superstars that have won Golden Globes are protesting in agreement that the Globe should be canceled until they can get some more diversity going on. Tom Cruise has won 3 Golden Globes. He sent them all back just within this past week. He sent all 3 of them back and said this could not be. This show needs to be more diverse. Now, if you guys remember, I believe, I want to say it was Chris Rock a few years ago that started the hashtag Oscars So White. And then I think the following year, we started seeing more and more African-American individuals win those Oscars. Viola Davis, and I can't even name some of the other ones, but I believe, Lisa, I agree. They should be protesting because Black people make some good TV and some good music, some good movies. We do it all. Not saying that nobody else doesn't, but there are some African Americans who are just worthy of some of these Golden Globes.
Very true.
That only whites or Chinese or whatever, are getting as of late. So they are protesting. White celebrities are protesting, saying, let's change this. Your thoughts on this, Antoine?
It's about time, though. I mean, for instance, like one of my biggest boggles was Eddie Murphy. As much as Eddie Murphy has done throughout the years, and not only just forget the amount of blockbuster movies he's created for so long, but also the amount of people he has put on the scene. If you look at Coming to America alone, you're going to see about at least 5 or 6 stars that have won all kinds of awards that Eddie Murphy has not even won, that he put them on. Nobody knew Cuba Gooding Jr. before Coming to America. Nobody knew Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, it's quite nobody knew Arsenio Hall, really, to be honest. Quite a few people that were put on the scene because of Eddie Murphy, and for him to constantly be snobbed year after year after year for one award or another. I've been felt like that a long time ago. Like this is too much.
Yeah, Troy, what you think about that?
I agree. I mean, what's funny is I was at work today and I had to do a training, and one of the training was about diversity and how it broadens and opens up your company to a better way to be financially stable, different aspects, different looks. When he was saying, when you look in one direction, that's the one direction that you go. But when you have a broader perspective, a different diversity when it comes to religion, when it comes to cultures, it makes things much better. And it makes a lot of sense. Like, what's the sense of having a crayon box with one color in it?
Right. I like that. I agree with Sheridan. She's that name is a big name. Keenan Ivory Wayans. That is a big name. Sheridan, I agree that I don't think he ever got the prize he deserved.
He did.
Nowhere near it.
Because I don't care what color you are. Everybody watched In Living Color.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey
Carrey came from there. Yep.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans.
Yeah.
See, Keenan produced and brought all of these faces to us, brought all of this talent to us, and they are not getting the awards that they deserve. So the Golden Globes, NBC said, we're done until y'all can put some black faces up there winning some of those awards. Come on, somebody.
Come on now.
They have removed the Globes from NBC. So we will definitely be keeping up with that news in the coming weeks. So as you all know, my brothers here, Antoine and Troy, who is the oldest amongst the two of you?
You should be able to tell by the gray on his face. Him.
Almost said your mama, but we got the same mama. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
That's pretty obvious.
Oh dear Lord. Wait, hold on. Let's go back for a second. Sheridan said Our black artists need to put more stock into our award shows. Our A-list stars won't even show up when our people recognize them. Now, I could do a whole nother show on this topic because for me, Sheridan, and I can only speak for myself, the BET Awards, the Soul Train Awards, it's not an award show of excellence to me. I want to say it how I really want to say it, but I'm gonna be nice because I'm the host here. But a lot of these shows,
text me and I'll say it for you. Go ahead.
Right. A lot of our shows,
yeah,
and again, this is just me. It's just thrown together. I feel the production is horrible, and people are acting any kind of way. I'm like, come on, where's the excellence?
It really just becomes a live ratchet show, pretty much. That's why I don't even watch them, to be honest.
Thank you, bingo, ratchet. There, he said it. That's what I feel about a couple of these shows. I don't feel like that about the Stellar Awards. I think the Stellar Awards are great, but I cannot stomach watching the BET Awards and some of those other ones that we have just for us. Because if we want to be looked at like top shelf, we got to act like top shelf.
Right. Right.
So that's just my opinion about that. But we don't have to. We'll do another show about that.
We don't have to deny our culture to be top shelf, because for some reason we think that being ratchet and being like that is somehow or another being true to our culture. When that doesn't have to be the case, because you can showcase your talent and your individuality and the pride in your culture without having to be someone who looks like we have no intelligence, no articulation, no cohesiveness, no particulars, and no on purposeness all the way around. But
John is right. The NAACP Awards, I love it. I love that one. Yeah. Now that is an excellent show for us. They exude excellence, so I love that. That's right, Sylvia. Sylvia said, "Let's show that we have class." That's right. Ms. Frank said, "I totally agree. People walking around with drinks in their hands." Yes, see what I'm saying? That we can't be shown like that. You know what I'm saying? And if we want to be recognized and appreciated like our counterparts, you know what I'm saying? For me, it's all about a look. And we can sit down and act civilized for 3 hours. We can, really. So Sheridan says, I mean, more like NAACP. BET isn't owned by us. NAACP is beautiful yearly. We have to show up. I'm in total agreement with that. But let's switch gears here. Antoine said that you can tell by the gray on Troy's face that he is the oldest. And I love the relationship that these guys have, and I especially wanted them on tonight to talk about this because, as I said in the beginning here, it's normal. I think most, not all, but most of us that have brothers and sisters, we've gotten into an argument here and there. It may not have been bad, but some may have been bad. There are even siblings who have been known to have fist fights, and it's really, really toxic. Some siblings, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, some siblings don't really get along well. Now, I did a little research, and let's dive right into our discussion tonight. I did a little research, and I'm going to put this on the screen, and let's talk about this. I love you, but I don't like you. That's common amongst 37% of siblings. This was a survey done in the United States in 2017. 37% of siblings said that they love their brother or sister, but they don't like them. What do you think some reasons for this could be? Antoine, go for it.
Selfishness and lack of grace.
Okay.
one of the things that my mom would share with us, maybe like the last few months of her life, was about having grace. I have learned over the past couple of years, um, sometimes we expect our siblings to think and act just like us. And when that does not happen, it causes a conflict of interest because if you don't respond like I would respond, I then feel offended by your upbringing, not
Okay.
remembering that life itself has changed you. Your personal experiences may change your personal response. And so we have conflict because I want you to say and think and feel like me. So then when
Okay.
you don't say and think and feel like me, it makes me not like you. Now it doesn't change my love for you. And the reason why it doesn't change my love for you is because that slight difference of opinion doesn't change my love, but it changes my ability to get along with you because I have no grace. And the reason why I said no grace is simply because I have to have enough wisdom to understand that you're going to do things differently. You're going to have a difference of opinion. Uh, Me and all of my siblings were raised in the same house by the same parents, but yet still in all, we are still different. I mean, by all every single last one of us are different
There
in
were
many
how
ways.
many?
Five. There are five of us. Now there are some similarities, but the core of who we is the same. But the actuality of who we are is different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we all have this thing about us that we don't leave lights on. Any of my siblings, we walk in your house, if your lights are on, ain't nobody using them, we're gonna turn them off. It's an automatic thing for us. It's an automatic thing for us. Just certain things that we do. You know what I mean? It just that's just how we are. But and I'm gonna tell you what it brought it to light for me was losing our parents. Is what really brought the differences in our lives to light for me, especially me moving to Florida. And life changes you. And when
Yeah.
life changes you, you got to be acceptable to the fact that my siblings are going to be different from me and respect your difference, not let it change you. That's how it goes.
So let me put this on the screen. My mama showing out, y'all. She said me and my brother and sister were bad. we well,
We
sometimes
believe it.
we weren't bad. I wasn't that bad. I don't think I was. I don't think I was that bad. Uh, but with that being said, Antoine, I appreciate you saying that and the fact that there were five of you and you are blood related, yet you are five different individuals with five different personalities. And it's not fair, right, for you to be upset or offended or whatever because one of your siblings disagrees with you or doesn't see things the way that you see it. Because we have to respect the fact, Troy, that they are my sibling, but they're also their own person. So we were talking and laughing before we came on the air, and the topic tonight, "You Are Not My Mother," is what they're. Sheridan says five of them too. Yeah, yeah, sure. The "You Are Not My Mother." We're talking about that, and I said to the guys, I said, it's usually the oldest sibling sometimes that tends to try to be the parent to the rest of their younger siblings. Mimi says that could stem from a variety of things: unforgiveness, envy, difference of opinions, lifestyle. That's very, very true. And we're going to get into that because it's these types of things, Mimi, that are causing some toxicity in sibling relationships. But Troy said, I was laughing with Troy about the topic, and Troy admitted that he is the one who would portray or act more like his brothers and sisters' parent as opposed to their sibling. So, Troy, do you recall when you guys were younger ever getting any pushback from that from your siblings?
Of course I did because they all had to prove their individuality. But the thing was, when mom and daddy had to leave, I was the one left in charge. And what I mean by in charge was I wasn't their parent, but mom and daddy gave instructions. So it was up to me to remind them of the instructions that mom and daddy left. Now, I had to learn my place. I'm not their mom and their daddy. But when mom and daddy leave and they do what they wanted to. Now, at first, when I first got the responsibility, you're going to do what I say. And I
It
had
was a
more fights
power
with my
trip.
brother. Well, I had more fights with my brother under me than I had with the Puerto Rican that's on here right now. Because he was spoiled, rotten. You know what I'm saying? And we all spoiled him because he was the baby. But anyway, it was the resistance of you not my mom and my daddy.
Okay,
And
wait,
so
hold
then,
on. So you're the oldest of five.
no, I'm not
No.
the oldest. My
Okay,
oldest
you're
brother
not.
was mentally challenged, Fred Jr.
Okay.
So
And Antoine is the youngest of five?
yes.
Okay. Continue.
So by Fred Jr. being mentally challenged, I was then pushed
Right.
and pulled in the oldest position. And so then my responsibilities and my accountabilities kind of put me in that place of come on, do this, say this, build up. When they learn how to cut the grass, I had to show them how to cut the grass because my father showed me how to cut the grass.
Okay.
Once he showed me, then it was my turn to show my younger siblings how to do what daddy showed me because he was only going to show one person. He wasn't going to show all five of us. He was going to show me and I had to show them. So my responsibilities kind of molded me in that position of clean your room up. Mama told you to clean your room up. That's okay. I got to the point where, you know what? I ain't gonna fuss with you. I was wait till mom and dad get home because I'm going outside. You ain't gonna go outside because you ain't did what mom and dad told you to do. Because I'm sure gonna tell them when they get here you ain't do what they told.
Sylvia says sometimes we feel like we live like we expect everybody else to carry you through life and don't have to stand on their own 2 feet. Do you or did you, Troy, I'll ask, did you ever feel like that person that had to carry the younger brothers and sisters?
No, I'll say this, Willie. One thing about my mother and father was they held us all accountable individually. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So then I didn't feel like I had to. Only time I felt like I had to be responsible for them if they was go somewhere with me, or I had to watch them to a certain degree. Other than that, my mother and father made sure that's how they parent us that you are responsible for yourself and your own your own actions. But I would say as I begin to get older, my brothers began to mimic my actions, and my father blamed me for their actions because my actions was similar to that.
Okay. Antoine, do you recall ever having to address one of your older siblings for crossing and or disrespecting any of your personal boundaries?
Not till I became an adult. As a child, no. Mainly because by the time I was 14, I was playing for a church, so I wasn't home much. And even prior to that, like Troy likes to call it spoiled, but the truth is, I didn't get into the trouble that him and Mike got into. I mean, I didn't get into halfway near the trouble they got into, and that wasn't just because they were so bad. It's just because I really didn't get the opportunity to do so. To be honest, if I wasn't at home in a structured area, I was either there or my godparents' house, and my godparents at the time, what 60, 70-year-old pastors, there was no trouble to get into at their house. It was just me and them, pretty much. So by the time I got 14, I started playing for a church, and I was playing for a church full time. So I really didn't get an opportunity to do much other than what I was doing from the age of 14 on up, pretty much. So I really didn't bump into that problem until I became an adult when I had to tell my siblings, "Hey, dog, I'm a grown man. It is what it is. You have your opinion, I have mine." And that's usually where it becomes a conflict. I don't, to me, in my experience, I've told my siblings, you guys got that older sibling. I call it older sibling syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
You automatically think you should say that, and sometimes you feel the obligation too, but once again, the grace will tell you when to say it and when not to say it, and when it's productive. But no, not really. I never really growing up. Prior to me playing for a church, me and Troy were pretty much the closest siblings because we had the most things in common.
We did.
So we were the musicians. So when Mama went out, we went. But going to church in our house wasn't an option anyway. So
No, it was not.
You know what I'm saying?
It was not.
But at the same time, we were wanting to be there because we were the musicians. We were playing for Mom, so we had more things in common. We were the pretty boys too, because Monty wasn't a pretty boy. Monty was always the thug. You know what I'm saying? So I was a singer, musician, so we had more things in common. So we actually didn't have very much conflict. To be honest, we haven't had very much conflict our entire lives. But whatever conflict that we have had has been as adults, and even that has been minimal, pretty much. To be honest.
So the thing with the, as you call it, the oldest child syndrome, or what? How did you put it?
Oldest sibling syndrome.
Oldest sibling syndrome. That's one of those things where you can get the, you know what? I love you because you're my brother or my sister, but I don't like you, right? Because you're doing too much. you ain't my mama. This is where we come up, where I come up with the topic for tonight. So, Troy, I want to go to you now. There are, every adult has or should have boundaries. I personally don't think it's fair. I don't care if you the young one or the old one. I don't think it's fair for either to cross the boundaries that their sibling has simply because they're siblings. You know what I'm saying? I'm like this. I don't care if you are my brother. If we sitting down to eat, don't put your hand in my plate without asking. For example.
No, we don't do that around here, Rev. We don't do that around here.
That's just one. And by the way, y'all, that was an example, but I'm actually like that for real. Don't touch my food. Ask me for some, because you like to get stabbed with a fork. But that's just an example. But Troy, how do you deal with your brothers or sisters that have crossed a boundary of yours? How did you deal with that?
Well, I'll be honest. My siblings know me pretty well to that degree. They say, don't cross that boundary, because I can be mean if necessary. I mean, mean. And so we've learned, like I said, my mother and father, they taught us to kind of, like Antoine was saying, that my mother talked about grace. And what my mother would do for us personally was she let us bust our own head. Now, she might have warned us, right, a few times, but we still may bust our head. And so I guess we learned to adopt that to a certain degree. Now, we ain't gonna say we did it all the time, but we learned to adopt that same mentality. Well, it's your head. Go ahead. I warned you. All right, then. Go ahead and bust your head. But sometimes you have to be like, well, don't call me once you bust it.
Okay.
But I can't say my siblings really did that. Now, I've been around siblings that have crossed boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Twan is the kind of person, he has to have his food separate.
Okay.
They can't touch each other. Now, it's going down the same throat. It's going in the same stomach. But he has to have his food in different sections. He got to get one of them sectional type plates. Macaroni, dressing.
You don't like his food
sweet potatoes at all. And he won't eat it that way either. He gonna eat one at a time. I think that is the most craziest thing in the world. But that's who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm gonna mix up my greens and my dressing together. It tastes better going down. So I mean, we all learned our boundaries about things. Like me, I'm a clean freak. I'm a nut about it, and I can be anal at times, But like I said, my parents taught us to be to try your best to respect what you know about a person. The Bible says, "Know them that labor among you." You know what I'm saying? So we have to learn how to know who we're dealing with and how we're dealing with it. That, like you said, there'll come a time in grace what gives you the opportunity to say something, because at that opportunity, then it's received in a different manner. But if you jump in the gun, like you said, crossing that boundary, you ain't trying to hear nothing they talking about. Period.
John said he's the same way. He doesn't like his food to touch. We laugh at him all the time about that.
Doctor, I respect the cook. I eat it the way you cooked it. You cooked it separate, so therefore I eat it separate.
That's utter foolishness.
So Antoine, because last week we touched just a bit. We just talked in general last week. I had Mark and Kristen on. We touched just for a bit.
They was funny.
They were hilarious, actually.
Yeah,
they was funny.
Some general rules regarding boundaries, and we're laughing now. That's just some things you just don't do. But I want to ask Antoine. So like, and a lot of people are not going to admit this, but if you know, Troy said it, that your siblings know how you are, like y'all all know how each other are. Mm-hmm. So here's my question, and this is where it puts siblings in a bad space. If you know, because you've been with me my whole life, if you know, Antoine, how I am, if you know I don't like certain things, why then would you do it if you know I don't like it?
Familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
Familiarity breeds disrespect.
Absolutely.
So, in other words, I'm going to the familiar part of me says, even though I know how you are, I want to override, which I then, unfortunately, not to get too deep, I then start dipping into a place of kind of witchcraft and mind control. I'm going to then alter what your level of comfort is, because this is what I believe is correct for you, and I'll override that. But that's usually where the problem comes in for siblings, and that you're not my mama. Something in you told you that you know better than what I think and what I feel, and I'm going to keep pushing beyond what you say and what you feel, and then enforce what I believe to be correct on you. And that familiarity breeds disrespect. And so then I cross boundaries. I'm not thinking logically. I'm thinking. I'm once again, it's selfish. It's a selfish perspective, because I feel like I know what's right for you, so I'll push this on you simply because that's going to make me feel better about your decision making, instead of me allowing myself peace to deal with whatever you chose to do.
So Troy, I'm like this. Another example. If you know for a fact, manipulation to control, absolutely, Danielle. Yes. And we're going to talk about that thing in just a moment. If you've known me my whole life, Troy, and you know I don't eat chicken. We all know that's a lie, but I couldn't think of nothing else right off. Right. If you know that it's something I despise, I loathe, I don't eat it, why would you keep bringing it to me? Now, here's why I asked that question. Because whether we want to admit it or not, there are some, whether it's young, middle-aged, there are some sibling relationships that are just toxic. Mm. That's just a fact that we cannot ignore. It's a fact. There are some sibling relationships that are toxic. A toxic sibling, much like a toxic parent, okay, is not going to have much respect for your boundaries. Okay, let's be clear about that. So even if you attempt to establish those boundaries as a way of maintaining your relationship, you might notice it don't help much. So we have these boundaries, and I'm coming to you, Troy, that say this is how the boundaries that I set, right, says this is how I love you and myself at the same time. So, and I feel that if your sibling continues to violate your boundaries, that's also a good indication that the relationship is toxic, and you need to prioritize your health, your mental health, over that relationship. And they might take no for an answer, but I really don't care, because I'm like this, brother, sister, or not. If you keep disrespecting my boundaries, I'm going to say something right now that a lot of people won't like and won't agree with, won't believe. And I don't care, because it's my show. Even if it is a sibling, you may have to detach yourself for a minute. Troy, go.
I mean, sometimes, and this is just my view on it, it's not always toxicity. It's just that sometimes some people are not mature enough to understand certain things. Just because I learned this, just because you are of age does not mean you are mature.
Facts.
Because we all know people that in their 40s, mid 40s, early 50s are just so dang blasted immature. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so in your immaturity, like Antoine was saying earlier, I'm gonna try to force you. I'm gonna try to force feed you to think like me and to act like me, because I believe that this is how you're supposed to do it. I think you should do this way. Well, we learned, like we said earlier, it's 5 people from Sandra and Frederick Thomas, 5 different children, 5 different personalities. We have a core that is very similar, but the outward extension is different, which brings us to individuality. You know what I'm saying? And so then what happens is some people, you got to check them, especially your family members, because Twan said it earlier, the familiarity of it, the lack of respect, the lack of honor, because we are family, and I don't feel like I need to respect you in that manner because it's just you. You know what I'm saying? What's funny is I was talking to prophetess Stephanie Rao, right?
Yeah.
And so we were talking about ministry type of thing. I'm gonna stay on subject. And we were talking about how sometimes people disrespect the leader because they knew them before they was the leader, quote unquote, in the position that they were in. And so then when they become the leader, when they become the pastor or the elder or the bishop, they still call them by the first name in church. Now, we all know, we've been taught, you always put a handle on somebody's name that's older than you, that's in a position of respect. And so then the thing is, we have to put people back in their perspective. Like you just said, we have to disconnect. Since you can't respect me over here, I'm going to leave you right over there. I love you. I'm praying for you. When I see you, I'm going to speak to you. But when it comes to a different connection, interaction, I'm going to leave you disconnected over there until you learn how to connect on the same level that we can both agree in a peaceable and common value.
Antoine, I put this comment back on the screen. I want you to address this. Sylvia says, most of the time we look up to our siblings and we want to be like them. And when they let you down, you can't get past it. So you start feeling a certain way because you can't believe that they didn't know their value. Now, before he speaks on that, I want to say that comment is kind of loaded. And here's what I mean. I remember being younger. I'm the youngest of 3. Both my brother and my sister are both in heaven now. But I remember being a kid. I wanted to go with my brother all the time. Wherever he went, I wanted to go. And he would never let me go. And I resented him for a long time because I wanted to hang out with my big brother. And most younger brothers, I think, want to at some point, maybe not. But I was the kid. I wanted to be with my brother. I wanted to hang out with him because I did look up to him, Sylvia. Then I found out that the reason he never let me go with him because he knew he was getting in some devilment and some trouble. And he was actually trying to protect me by saying, no, you can't go with me. I didn't see it until I got older, but so that, that could go either way. Troy, Antoine, address that statement.
It brings me back to what I wanted to say. We sometimes fail to realize that boundaries sometimes have to be recalibrated. We initially set boundaries and we want to keep those boundaries where they are for life. And it's not realistic, nor is it mature thinking. So when we look up, so for instance, okay, me and Troy were different. Once again, we had a common ground because of music and because of our styles. But then that also began to change as I got older. You understand what I'm saying? So when it came to my brother was teaching me music, then I had to start learning music on my own. So I couldn't lean and depend on Troy for chords anymore. I couldn't lean and depend on Troy for, hey, what about this shirt with this tie, particular thing? Why? Because me going in my own direction, I then had to set new boundaries within myself for myself. And when it come to him, Troy started playing for a church. I believe he was 16 when he started playing for Pastor Harris, right?
15.
So
15.
15. So then relationship changed then for us.
Yeah.
Because he was now involved in multiple ministries. Shortly after, I became involved in multiple ministries. Now, it would have been unrealistic for me to still hold Troy to the boundary that we once had based on my intentions. And so we have to learn how boundaries have to be reset realistically. One, because as you get older, your life should change where your goals are, number one. Number two, sometimes the hope that we have in people, they cannot live up to anymore. And so then we're expecting people to be in a certain place for the rest of their lives, and then we make them a baby idol in our lives. It's dangerous.
Yes.
So then whether we want to admit it or not, we will sometimes allow people to come baby idols in our lives, and we cannot change that. We cannot change who they are. They're not God. Troy had to change his position in my life. If not, then I would have never been successful in what I had to do. Someone asked me maybe a couple of weeks ago how me and Troy's ministry life came about different. It came about different because I had to move on. So at 14, I started playing for a church. And it wasn't just me playing for that church. The church that I played for, this man of God pretty much put me over his entire music department. So I was over the praise team. I was over the choir at 14. You hear what I'm saying? I was in meetings about conferences and revivals and anniversaries that were coming up. This is what we're going to do. This is what the standard. Now, mind you, at 14. So then shortly after that, I started singing with people. I started traveling. I started going across the world. That had to change for me. So Troy started traveling a little later in life, but I started traveling at a very young age. And I'm not talking about Dalton or Detroit.
Right.
I was moving across the country, and even out of the country well before I was even 17 years old. But if I had not changed my boundaries, I would have been holding on to my brother who had not started doing that just as of yet, which would have stifled both of us. Because now when it was his turn to say, hey, bro, I'm finna go here. What will happen? What happened when you did that? I can now share, hey, this is what I did. This is what happened to me. So then we can never grow if we continue to keep people who are just there to transition.
Locked in one position.
My mama told my brother, hey, because Troy kept coming to church late, right? And so we started church at 2:30. Sometimes Troy would make it there at 3:30, 4 o'clock, depending on how the service went. You know how it go. So mama said, show him a few chords. I think Troy showed me 4 chords, maybe 5. Maybe
you only need 4.
5, right? So I had to then take those chords. I hate Lord. I had to take those chords and expound them. People are only in our lives to help transition us. Siblings, parents, grandparents, mentors, pastors, teachers. And sometimes that unsavory boundary is also the opposite way. Because you're not my mama, but you're also not my Jesus. And if I don't learn when to cut that off, I then put myself in danger and putting you in a plateau that I should have never put you in the first place.
Absolutely. Wow, that was good. Sheridan says, because if God kicked Adam and Eve out of his Eden, I can kick you out of mine. Love you, but bye.
Sheridan Davis.
Come on.
Sheridan Davis.
Come on.
But is that not the truth, though?
Let me say one thing. I'm sorry. I took a Christian counseling class in college, and I'm gonna shut up. The professor said something that was so profound, bro. I will never ever forget it. He said, "You have to remember as a counselor that you don't become somebody's Jesus."
Yeah.
He said, because people will sometimes expect you to deliver them from a place they've never put the work into. And sometimes we've got unrealistic expectations for people that we look up to, and even for people that we lead, because it goes both ways. As a leader, I have to learn how to let you go and let you fall on your face. As a follower, I have to remember that you are not Jesus. And there's a cutoff in how I follow you.
Troy, I want to put this question on the screen. Mimi asks, would you personally deem it necessary to set boundaries if they are emotionally needy and draining? For example, you're always encouraging, uplifting, but they are constantly negative.
It's funny that I was interacting with some people, and with this particular person. And this particular person, majority of their conversation go left negative first. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Antoine, we laugh. He get up and preach. He say, "You got to be careful who you hang around." They be like, "Oh, what a blessed day! Oh, it might rain. Oh, I'm feeling real good. Oh, my knee hurting." You know, those people that's always so negative about. They can't see nothing positive. They can't speak nothing positive. It's like, listen, your as they say, we'll keep it natural. Your aura about you is so negative that we cannot connect. So the Bible says, how can two walk together except they agree? So if you're always negative, and I'm not a negative person, why, even if you're my sibling, why we hang around? I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna tell some Antoine, my brother, business. We were younger, they did things that I didn't do. I didn't do that kind of stuff. I love my brothers, but they hung out, that was their thing, and that wasn't my thing. You know what I'm saying? I love them, but I had to separate myself basically because we didn't do the same thing. That connection for that particular thing was not there. And so then when you hang around negative people that have a negative content, an outlook, a conversation, an action, like he said, you have to change the parameters of that boundary. Okay, then I got to stretch my boundaries on you a little bit. I got to extend my boundaries. You know what I'm saying? I got to put a bridge and a river and a mountain between our barriers, because you keep crossing over here and we ain't on the same level, on the same plane.
Right. Mimi, I want to I'll touch your question a bit also. I think that if you are questioning your relationship with a sibling or a friend or whoever, my suggestion would be to think back over your history with that person and try to remember how much good they brought to your life. If it's kind of neutral, then I think you might be okay, because everybody don't have that amazing type of relationship. But if it, like that person Troy was talking about, if it's all doom and gloom and fights and arguments or whatever, just draining you, I suggest take some time to consider how important that relationship is to you. And if it is that important, kind of maybe find a way to talk it out. If they are approachable like that, because everybody isn't, some people would take offense to that. But if the relationship is that important to you, I say find a way to talk it out. If it's all about them all the time, be careful with that, because you might need to, like I said earlier, you might need to just pull back just a bit. Here's why I say that, because we are living day by day trying to, just go and navigate through life with Christ and all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes, if we just be honest, sometimes you just don't want or need that negativity in your life. I know somebody too, Troy, that every single solitary text message or Facebook post, even Antoine, I'm like, yo, is something wrong with you every day?
Every day. Like Jesus Christ himself.
Mimi, I don't need that type of negativity. And we used to be in a closer relationship But I honestly, I stopped reaching out because every time it's always something. One of the worst questions you could ask somebody like that is, how you doing? Because they'll actually tell you.
You know what? Bro? I recently just told somebody this, and I'll share this with you, Mimi, whoever you. I don't know who you are, but your first obligation is to yourself.
It's to yourself.
Let's start there. And so if it is negativity, then right there, you don't got to think about that. Sometimes we ain't got to pray about that.
Nope.
Shut that mess down like third. Shut that mess down like third period French. Shut it down. Period. Because if somebody is coming to you with negativity and not looking for a solution, right then and there, once again, there's a boundary issue. Because as my friend, I should not bring something to you that could possibly bring you down. And if I am unaware, if that person's not aware of the fact that whatever they're doing is causing negativity, now there's difference between me sharing a problem with you, but when it becomes negativity, the very second it becomes negativity, there's a boundary issue. And once again, as I said earlier, you're not anybody's Jesus. And so if you continue to pour into someone and their response is continued negativity, then baby, understand this. Drop that mess like third period French. You don't owe anybody anything. And don't and don't allow yourself to be connected to ungodly obligations and continue to talk to people who have no productivity in their conversation.
That's good, man. You guys are awesome. I'm not ready to end yet, but I need to take. I want to take about another 10 minutes of your time because I have another question. One more question. I promise y'all, just one more. Just
it's okay. I ain't gotta let it go. Come on with it.
Troy, Antoine, you have how many children?
5.
Troy, you have how many children?
17.
It's about that many.
I got 7. I got 8. Count my nephew. I got 8.
Okay, so here's my question. In reference to,
I got 9. I'm sorry.
You got 9. Okay,
I got 9.
In reference to, toxic. We let's just use that word right now. Sometimes it's not that. It's what you said it was earlier, but let's just use that for now. You both are parents. So I was going to ask this question of you and your siblings, but I want to ask you now as a parent in relation to your children. If you see your children, your adult children, let's fix that. If you see your adult children having and again, I'm just going to use this word for the sake of the conversation. And if their relationship is toxic, how do you as a parent handle that adult relationship? They're your children, but they are yet adults.
Well, seeing that I have more grown children than he do, I'm going to go first. I'll say this first of all. There's some things are toxic. Everything I was just talking about, everything is not. Some things are not toxic. It's just immaturity. But there are some relationships with siblings are very toxic, very, very toxic.
Agreed.
And so then I have 7 biological children by 4 different women. And with the 4 different women, with my 7 girls, I have girls. So they're emotional.
Girls,
They they up and they down, they in and out, they fight about stuff. You be like, hey, are you really fighting about that? Is you really arguing with somebody about that? And so then, and then at the same time, what end up happening is, and I'm gonna be honest, their mothers haven't always been completely upfront and honest about some things, which cause a toxic relationship between the siblings.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So daddy has to step in and be the moderator of the bitter baby mama. I'm gonna be honest, the bitter baby mama, the mama hate me now because what we did, or how I haven't not always did things in the right manner because I was immature, I was selfish, I didn't really care about them like I thought I did. I did what I wanted because it was what I wanted to do. That in turn causes the toxicity in the mother, which trickled down to the children. So I've had to referee fights, talk to them. Say, let me tell you something. One thing I love about my mother, this is what she did. We would argue and fuss with each other. Well, let me tell you something my mother would do. She would make us stand in the middle of the dining room and hug each other. Now, we could just fist fight, arguing, wrestling, the whole 9 yards. She said, but you ninjas is going to stand here and hug until I feel better. But what she would do is, now I'm talking about, I would say, nigga, soon, she was going to say, ninja, as soon as she to that let you go, I'm going to bust you upside your head as soon as mama don't look. But what it did was, it caused us to understand that it doesn't matter what it is, how bad you think it is. We have to love each other because as Christ loved us. So her thing was giving us example of how God's love can cover us even in the place of being mad and angry. You know what I'm saying? So that I've had to teach my girls, and I'm still teaching them the same thing. And because it was just because we was in the same household, because I got 4 different mothers, 4 different attitudes, 4 different demeanors, 4 different households, 4 different learnings. So I have to ask God, what can I do? How should I say it? Who can I say it to? Which one gonna hear what I'm gonna say? Which one not gonna? I can't go to all 7 of my girls the same way because they are 7 individuals. Yeah. So I've had, especially with my well, only really one of my grown children, one more so my teenage girls. There's always some catfight or misdemeanor or jealousy or unnecessary hatred.
Antoine?
I've had those situations, but probably not as many as him. But one particular, well, not one. What I try to do, honestly, man, is bring them to a place of self-evaluation. Because a relationship that's toxic that you cannot recognize the toxicity is, I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face. If you don't recognize that what you're doing is toxic, then what I'm doing is just pushing you towards what you're already trying to get away from. So in one of my daughters, she was in a relationship, guy she was dating was very toxic. So I didn't bring the baby, don't date him, or you shouldn't be around him. Let's do an evaluation. This is what's going on. And if this doesn't change, where do you find yourself at? If this gets worse, where do you find yourself at? And would you like your child to deal with a relationship just like this? And what would you tell your child? So I learned that early as a parent, to let me bring you to a place of understanding. Because if I tell it to you, you're not going to get it. Because your immediate response to me is to kick against what I'm saying. Yeah. So let me say both of us some frustration and agitation. Let me let you find the fish's mouth yourself. And then when you realize the level of toxic that's coming out of this relationship, then you'll know what to do with it. If not, then at least you'll bring yourself to the place where you'll ask me, Dad, what do I do concerning this? Or what should I do concerning this? Because most of the time, for most people, the problem isn't the relationship that's toxic. The problem is you don't recognize the level of toxic that's in this. You don't recognize the poison that you're connecting yourself to. So therefore, you keep signing yourself up for heartache. And that's why many of our natural relationships do not work, is because you have not recognized that you are the common denominator, and part of that toxicity is you. Yeah. And so therefore, you can blame the other person all you want to. You're part of that level of toxic. And if I don't change, because I can't change you, I can't change what you're doing, but I can't change me. I can't change how I respond to it. And so
that's a free word.
If I change what I'm doing, either you're going to change what you're doing or you're going to fire yourself.
Right.
Pretty much.
So this was really, really good. I'm not done with this because there are other levels of this particular topic in relation to siblings that I still want to hit. So I'm going to reach out to you guys. I want to have you guys come back next month. If you have time, we'll work that out. I want you to come back next month because this conversation is needed, because there are so many broken adults, so many broken adult sibling relationships. Listen, when one person is in control of another, love cannot grow deeply and fully, and there is no freedom. Okay.
And that ain't love.
Exactly. In other words, healthy boundaries can be the difference between a healthy, happy relationship and a toxic, dysfunctional relationship.
Can I give you a topic from next time?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
I'm not the favorite. I'm just the one that obeys.
Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Like seriously, Mimi said that's a great approach. It allows them to think about it versus feeling it's coming from a judgmental place. Very wise approach. It is. So I want to say to all of us as we leave tonight, I want you to seriously take some time and look at the relationship or relationships that you thought about when we started talking about this tonight. Because I guarantee you, whether they're healthy or unhealthy, this topic made you think about your siblings, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you are in a bad space with some of your brothers and sisters. I want you to take some time and evaluate that relationship, you and that person. I don't care how many it is. If it's 3 of them that you into it with, take some time and evaluate each one of those relationships. And if, by God, if it's not as bad as you are making it out to be, you should try to mend that relationship. And I'll tell you why. And we're leaving. My mom had 3 children, and we had little disagreements like all siblings do. We never fought physically. It was you make me sick. I can't stand you. It was that type of stuff. We did all of that, but we were always there for one another. And the little stupid, petty, trivial things, sometimes we make mountains out of molehills and we can get over.
We do.
If you are mature enough to say, you know what, this not even that deep. Let me get over that. And take ownership of your part in what may have caused the rift between the relationship. If there is a part that you need to take ownership of, most of the time there is. And I'm saying this from a place to all of you who are into it with your siblings. I like them. I love them, but I don't like them. All of you that are in those particular places with your siblings and even other relationships that you value, but especially siblings. Man, I would give anything to talk to my brother and my sister right now.
Listen,
yes, sir.
Listen,
but they're gone.
You better learn
gone.
life short.
So I'm saying this from a place to you guys that still have brothers and sisters. If at all possible, fix it, because they will not be with us always. And it's important that we maintain healthy relationships while respecting our siblings' boundaries. Thank you all, Lisa. Thank you, Ms. Frank. Thank you so much, Sylvia. All of you guys. I did see Sylvia. I did see you follow WTM tonight, and we appreciate that. Guys,
that's our cousin. That's our cousin.
That's your cousin? Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sylvia as well. I would definitely keep you posted. Hey, guys, we're getting out of here. But Troy mentioned something earlier about saying, calling pastors and stuff by their first name and stuff. So as we continue on boundaries next week, we're going to talk about how far is too far.
All right.
And we're going to take a look at the relationships and boundaries between pastors and members. How far is too far? My guests next week are from Kansas City, Kansas, I believe it is. Because it's Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. They from over in one of them Kansases. It's it is Overseer Carlton Funderburk and Prophet Jeremiah Dean. They will be with us next week on a special night. It's not Tuesday night next week. It's Wednesday night. So stay tuned and set your calendar for that next week. You all will be seeing the flyer posted for that on tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, throw up some hearts on your way out for my guest tonight, Pastor Troy Thomas and Prophet Antoine Thomas. Guys, thank you so much for getting back on with me tonight. We appreciate it. The dialogue was amazing. We're going to get out of here, but don't you guys go anywhere just yet. We got to set a calendar date. And everybody else, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, I love you guys. I appreciate you. All of you guys that are going to watch the replay, thank you. I will be back next Wednesday, not Tuesday, next Wednesday for How Far is Too Far, talking about boundaries between pastors and their members. I'll see y'all next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Good night, everybody.